Bracing for Wembanyama.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs help you find a qualified candidate you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Hello, I'm Keith Pompey along with my right-hand man, John Mitchell. What's up, Mitch? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well.
Okay.
Had a good weekend.
Okay. Did you do anything special?
Man, I watched a whole lot of football this weekend. That was special.
Oh, yeah, I saw you on Facebook killing the dude for not calling a timeout.
Man, I go a little bit crazy on social media with these guys. Like I know more than they do.
But the coach, my man from the Chiefs, he was trying to explain why he didn't. He basically said the game was over. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. All right. Okay, it's the first. But now it is what it is. But look, tonight's game with the Sixers, they have Wembanyama coming to town, 7'4" rookie, having a phenomenal season for the Spurs. They play the Sixers. Now, I expect the Sixers to win this game.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, I expect it to be exciting to see what Wembanyama can do against the Sixers. Now, I don't think it will be one of those things where people think we're going to see this head-to-head battle between him and Embiid because, let's face it, Wembanyama is a power forward. Right? Joel Embiid has him by probably 150 pounds. Right? So I don't see that head-to-head matchup that people expect. But at the same time, I do feel like it's going to be thrilling. And I want your thoughts on this night's matchup.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a look at the present and a look at the future. I mean, people have been excited about Wemby ever since they started hearing about him. You know, everybody saw the video of him going against Rudy Gobert a few years back. And I guess he just turned 20, and he does bring a skill set and a body. You know, I mean, he's like Sean Bradley, only he can play. You know, and actually he's got, he's actually got more skill, way more skill than Sean Bradley did. I'm looking forward to it, but again, like you said, you're not going to get that matchup because he's got him. I don't know if he got him by $150, but I think he got him by close to $1. You know, so but it just, I was disappointed in the Denver matchup where we didn't really get a chance to see Embiid and the Joker go head to head. And really, I don't think that San Antonio, I mean, you'll see it, because with him blocking, a league high 3.2 block shots or whatever, he's going to get, he's going to get some Embiid shots, and you'll get them matched up every now and then. And it'll be interesting because this guy blocks 3-point attempts. And the one thing he might be able to do that a lot of guys can't do is take away or make it more difficult for Embiid to get that seemingly automatic mid-range jumper. So I'll be looking for little stuff like that. I don't expect a matchup. I don't expect the 76ers to roll over, and not show up, even though they're getting ready to go out on a 5-game road trip. So it's going to be interesting. But I just want to see Wemby because you don't get a chance to see him often. But you turn SportsCenter on, and there he is doing these fantastic things, doing these guard small forward things in a big man's body and blocking shots like a big man. So I'm interested because I do think down the road and around the corner, he's, with the skill set that he has, I expect him to block, averaging 4 blocks, some year, during his career, 4, maybe even higher than that, as he gains weight, becomes more physical, as he drinks those muscle milks or whatever they're giving him now to put some pounds on him. So yeah, you have to be excited as a basketball fan. You have to be excited to see.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Now we'll look at his numbers right now. He's played in 36 games. He started in all 36. He's playing 28.5 minutes. So they're not like burning them out, right? They're like, they're not like saying, hey, you got to go 40. You got to do this. You got to do that. Right. They're being kind of careful with him. So he's averaging 19.9 points, 10.1 rebounds, right? 2.9 assists, 1.1 steals, and a league best 3.2 blocks, right? He's shooting 46.2% from the field, struggling a little bit from 3, shooting 29.6 from 3. And from the foul line, he's shooting 79.9%. So basically 80% shooter. So when you look at these numbers, these are rookie of the year type numbers. The only thing that I think that where people are going, and some people may vote for Chet Holmgren, is just because Chet's team is one of the best teams in Oklahoma City, whereas the Spurs have the worst record in the Western Conference, and they had the 3rd worst record overall, right? So his team has been struggling. They're 8-34, but at the same time, it's one of those things where Michael Carter-Williams won it when the Sixers were tanking. Yeah, and then Joel Embiid and them were like finalists when their team was struggling. So, I mean, you just can't keep making up different rules. Like you realize, to me, if you take him off that team, how many games would they win? Now, again, I haven't decided on who I'm going to vote for yet for Rookie of the Year. I typically let that play out. But the things that this guy is doing is phenomenal, especially against in the big games against elite opponents.
No, I agree. We like to throw that cliche that he's been every bit as good as advertised. I think he's at least lived up to the hype. He's in a situation where, he's in a bad situation with the San Antonio Spurs just not being very good. But as far as, you look at his numbers, you look at the things he does, and of course, those block shots stand out. But, with that frail body, he's still grabbing 10 rebounds per game. He's not the explosive athlete that some people were expecting to see, but he's just so very highly skilled. Sometimes he initiates the offense for them every now and then. It's not like the Spurs have a lot of people who can do much of anything this year. But we knew that coming in. Him, Keldon Johnson, and Vassell. But beyond that, it's like what do they have? And he's with Pop. Pop cultivates big men talent. I don't know how long Pop's going to be there. I hope Pop sticks around for a minute. So he can get some players to put, to coach him alongside. But nonetheless, if you're a fan of basketball, you have to be interested in seeing a guy who is, having his name compared to Wilt Chamberlain on a nightly basis against a guy who people say is the future of the big man position. So yeah, it's definitely some interest there.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. So your prediction for tonight, what do you think is going to happen tonight?
I think the Sixers beat them by 10 points at least. Yeah, I think they get a 10-point win at least. Again, I think they got one foot on the airplane getting ready to go for that road trip mentally. But I do think that the Sixers will handle him. I think that, they might start off kind of sluggishly Or, Embiid could just show up. Was he averaging like 11 points per game in the first quarter of
Yeah, like
game?
15, I believe. Yeah, it's crazy.
15,
Oh, no, it's around. Like, he had 15 last game. It's around 11. Yeah, it's around 11.
Yeah, so and he seems to be, and he's gotten up for every challenge. He seems to be doing a better job of mentally gearing himself up. Providing those challenges when they're sometimes not there. But Embiid, he's this is the NBA's new flashy Ferrari. He's going to want to look good against him, and I think he'll go out and establish himself early, and I think they'll win. They'll win comfortably.
Yeah, I think it will be too. I think it. I mean, they didn't look all that well the last game. We'll talk about that the next segment a little bit. But I'm with you. I think that it's going to be should be a pretty good win for them.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it should be. I think it's going to be one of those games where Embiid could get not the entire fourth quarter off, but he could come in, maybe make a little cameo to, and then they give him the curtain call or something. But I'm not expecting much out of this team. But the thing is, I will say the one thing that I'm not going to say concerns me, but the one thing that you got to understand is that it seems as if that Wemby has been a big game player, right? Mm-hmm. He's been a big game player.
Yeah. So that game against Giannis, was it last week? Against Giannis last week?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's true.
That's what I'm saying. That's true. But look, y'all, let's talk about LinkedIn. At the start of the new year, every small business owner is asking themselves the same question. What's the one move I can make that'll take my business to the next level in 2024? LinkedIn Jobs know that your success all depends on the team you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created a tool to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. It's why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivery quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is quick and easy. Post your jobs for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your jobs for free. Terms and conditions apply. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Now, Mitch, we look at the Sixers, right? And we talked about it. Right now, the Sixers have a 5-game winning streak. I look at it right now, and that's the second best winning streak in the Eastern Conference behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's tied for the second best winning streak in the league, right? Mm-hmm. The Phoenix Suns have won 5-2. Now, when we look at this streak, you say they defeated the Sacramento Kings, which is good, quality win. Mm-hmm. Then they beat the Houston Rockets, the Denver Nuggets on back-to-back nights. They had 2 days off, and then they defeated the Orlando Magic and the Charlotte Hornets. The streak is impressive, right? I mean, I think they got quality wins in Sacramento, Denver. The Orlando Magic is coming down to earth a little bit, but that was still a good win. What's your overall thought process of this team, the way they're playing right now?
They're I mean, I think we can move beyond. The conversation was, they're playing above expectations. But now that we have seen Tyrese step in and become the legitimate number 2 for the 76ers, and with our guy Tobias Harris, let's give him his props, man. He's continuing. It's been about a 3-week stretch now, 3.5 week stretch where Tobias has been good. I think and if I'm not mistaken, they won that first game of this win streak minus Joel Embiid. If I'm not mistaken, was it the Sacramento game?
Yeah, it was minus Joel Embiid. Yep, you are correct.
Yeah, and what I like about it is, during the stretch they've had 2 sets of back-to-backs, and I know that that was kind of a low energy win on Charlotte against a low energy squad. It's but I like what I'm saying. It's going to get real. Because you kind of think they'll extend that winning streak to 6 games, but then they start that road trip. Like, we'll talk about that later, but it's got some early pitfalls in it. You're at Denver, you're at an Indiana team, which is going to want to really test itself. With the new Pascal piece. So, no, I like it, man. Again, they're at the midpoint of the season. They are they're in. Most of people still see Boston as being a better team. But Boston doesn't have a guy who looks like he's going to be the MVP. I like where they are at the midpoint of the season. I like what they've done during this winning streak. I could see them losing 2 in a row early on when they get out on the road, but that's again, we'll get to that a little bit later. I think it's fans of this team have to be happy. You're in position. There's possibility you might make a trade before the deadline that could improve your team. That from what we're understanding, what you're reporting, that they're moving judiciously. They're not jumping on anything. And let's be quite honest. When they had their full complement, and it would be nice to see them get that full complement together. They're a good team. They're a good team capable of beating anybody. It was a nice win against Denver. It's a nice win against Denver. Nice wins against Minnesota earlier in the season.
Yeah. Now, my thing is, I do think they're a good team. I didn't like what I saw the last game. They won. They were able to win, but I didn't like what I saw. I think that sometimes there becomes a trend when they play a bad team. I think that certain guys want to start, instead of going with I think certain guys start stat chasing against the poor teams. And in that last game, now again, I like the way they played against Sacramento. I like the way they played against Denver. Those are the games that really stood out to me. I liked how they handled business against Orlando. And then they started getting other guys involved, right? I felt like that first half against against Charlotte was bad. You look at it, Joel shooting 6 for 14, Max shooting 5 for 14, and no other player on the team had more than 2 shots. So to me, it looked like we got this squad that we know we're about the boat race.
Right.
And those two were Joel and Maxie was trying to get theirs, but they weren't getting everybody else involved, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at it, it was kind of like, they started PJ Washington at center because their first and second string center was banged up. The best LaMelo Ball wasn't playing. So again, I just feel like the Sixers got to remain locked in. You can't get off the strip right now. Of course, the coach is going to say, hey, a win is a win, a win is a win, but you don't want to see that because that could have been a bad loss, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this. You are correct, in regards to they do have a good team, and you got to be careful who you bring in the trade because these guys have shown that they can help you. Like, I do think that Marcus Morris is a great addition. Nick Batum is a great addition.
Yeah.
One concern I have now about this team is Robert Covington hasn't played
Yeah.
That's December the 30th.
Yeah, it was. What's going on there?
They saying his knee keeps swelling up, but the thing is, knee swelling up isn't an injury. What's the cause of the knee swelling up?
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So now he's not going to play tonight. D'Anthony Melton isn't going to play tonight. So
he's a back, right? Is his back?
Yeah, is his back, and that's the thing about a back is you don't
touch it up.
Yeah, you don't mess around with a back injury. So those are, if I have some concerns, and it's about these two guys right now. I love both of them, but it's one of those things where, how is this going to impact the Sixers?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How are their injuries going to impact the Sixers moving forward? That's my concern. But John, on the third segment, I got to ask you a question. You can think about it now.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the one player you would like to see, who you think will have to take the next step in order of, if the Sixers roster remains the way it is now, who needs to take the next step for them to get out of the second round?
Gotcha.
All right.
Like that question.
All right. Look, this show episode is sponsored by BetterHelp, right? So when we talk about BetterHelp, around New Year's, we get obsessed with how we change ourselves instead of just expanding on what we're already doing right. Maybe you finally organized one part of your space and you want to tackle another one. Or maybe you're taking your supplements every morning and now you want to actually eat breakfast too. Therapy helps you find your strength so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick, right? If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. Just fill out the brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist or switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Celebrate the process you've already made. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. So Mitch, who comes to mind for you, bro?
For me, it's excuse me. For me, it's Kelly Oubre Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think that we need to see him get comfortable in a role. He's a guy who he's averaging just below 13 points per game right now. He's a guy who can play the passing lanes with his athleticism. He's a guy who, if they stay pat, he's a guy who is going to be called upon, to guard the wing, to guard wing players. And also, I was looking at their roster. They got a small, Pat Bev, Tyrese Maxey, DeAnthony. They're small in the backcourt. I think you'll need to see Kelly Oubre, play some guard, and be able to be versatile defensively. And I think that he can score more than he's, when the opportunity presents itself, that his scoring average can go up significantly. So, back up into that range of 16 points per game, 15 points per game. I like the way Tobias is playing. I like to see him continue to play the way he's playing. That's always the question with him. But I do think Kelly Oubre Jr. is a guy who brings the athleticism, the ability to guard larger guards, to guard the wings, that they haven't had, So he's the guy for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that suggestion too, Kelly Oubre. But I also, believe it or not, I kind of sort of think that the center depth is going to have to get better too. It's going to be a little bit more consistent on the minutes because ideally, the starters play a lot of minutes in the playoffs, but we all know Joel Embiid's injury history, right? Mm-hmm. We all know that. And I don't think Joel is going to be one of the things where he's playing 45 minutes in the playoffs. Right. I just need to, when they come in there, if it's Paul Reed or Mo Bamba, that they have to be on 10 when they play.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. They're going to have to be, because what's going to happen is they're probably going to be attacked, and the other team is going to try to go on runs and do things. And I think that they just need a little bit more consistency out of these guys.
Yeah.
When Embiid's a little bit out of the floor. Tobias has stepped up. Like Kelly Oubre is a great one. Nick Batum has shown he's able to do things. I also would like to see Marcus Morris. And Marcus Morris, if he's still here, and I will also, because they're going to reduce that bench, and Marcus Morris and Pat, they're going to have to be a little bit more consistent too, especially Marcus. Now, I mean, Pat has been doing what he's doing. I think that teams are going to give him a lot of open looks, right? A lot of open looks. So he's going to have to continue to stick them. Marcus, he's been playing well, but he has certain games where he just, like the last one, he just doesn't do anything offensive. On the defensive side, guys are going to try to attack him as well. So, but for the most part, I just think for those little bit of minutes that they're going to play, those stretches, that the backup bigs are going to have to always be on 10. Yeah. And unfortunately, their play has been inconsistent.
Yeah. You know what? I know we keep tossing names around, trade deadline names. I want to hear Andre Drummond's name mentioned, man.
Yeah, I know.
They have shown a tendency to not rebound as well. Andre Drummond clearly liked playing in Philly. That was the impression I got. You were around him more. But if you bring that guy in here, you're never going to have. I mean, he's averaging about 8.5 boards in like 15 minutes a game.
Yeah. The problem is with that is you look at a Chicago team, and let's face it, Chicago's a team that has to make the playoffs because of the trades they made, and you look at their new front office and all that and everything. Like, they came in with a lot of hype, and they've been struggling. Now, now, they're not. They're in 9th place, so they're a play-in team, right? So my thing is, I don't know if they feel like getting rid of him, if they still want to win, is going to be detrimental, and it probably will be detrimental. Like, you're going to help a team like the Sixers that you may end up playing in the first round.
Right.
So that's my thing. I mean, now again, if they were like where Charlotte is with 9-31, I think we would see a fire sale. Yeah. But right now, I think they're trying to see what they can do because they are 2 games below 500. But yeah, he would be a great addition. Great addition.
Make it happen, Daryl Moore. Go ahead and be proactive, and instead of being reactive in situations where you have to make a deal, like you did with Ben Simmons and with Harden, go out and do some real big game hunting.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like right now they're just sitting pat. They're just sitting pat, waiting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now maybe we could talk about that tomorrow. Talk more about that tomorrow on like how the trades and everything that's happened underneath the Daryl Morey regime.
Yeah.
Right? That'll be a great topic. That's what we'll talk about tomorrow, y'all. In addition to recapping tonight's game. That'll be great. But look, y'all, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. We would like for John Mitchell, and this is Keith Pompey, we want to thank you guys for listening today. We want y'all to have a blessed day. Let you know, like we said in the opening, you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts at. It's free and available. And you can go to YouTube and get it. Go to the Locked On 76ers podcast. When you get there, click on the Liberty Bell. You become a new subscriber and you get notifications. But we want to thank y'all for having a blessed day and peace.
Have a good one, y'all.